What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king, welcoming you to the June 2023 edition of Let's Talk, and quite possibly the only Let's Talk you are going to be getting this summer due to reasons. This is basically just me confirming a lot of what I talked about in the emergency update that I put out a few weeks ago, not that long after our May Let's Talk, actually. But there's a few other things I'm going to touch upon in this video, because like I said, this is probably the only one you guys are going to be getting this summer as I just sort of coast into the eventual solution of this entire bind that I have found myself in, thanks to what happened a few weeks ago. Let's talk about that first, just in case anybody missed that. So if you didn't see the video I aptly titled Update to the Update, that was an emergency update because something happened not long after I put out the May Let's Talk. I was sitting down to record a new Let's Play that was going to be coming out about September time. And in the middle of doing so, my PC bit the big one. That same PC that has been responsible for probably 90% of all of the content I've put out on this channel over the years finally died. And no, it is not something that was salvageable. I could not resuscitate the thing. It's done for. The processor is fried, which that's it. That's when that happens, the PC is done for. I put the thing through the ringer. It lasted a very long time. It was a very good PC. But it finally bit the dust, and it's something I should have done a very long time ago. I am finally now going to do, and that is get a new PC. A very simple fix, but also a fix that I can't just do at the drop of a hat. It's going to take me a little time to actually put everything together and get that sorted and set up. And originally, when I put out that update video, I was shooting for around the end of August, early September. It's looking a little bit more optimistic now. I'm looking at more early August. Within the first week or so of August is when I should probably have that all sorted out. And then I'm probably going to spend the rest of that month just getting everything handled and getting back on track with things so that we can, jump right back into what we were doing. However, in the meantime, this laptop that I am currently recording this off of it's a gaming laptop. It is not a high-intensity PC that is meant for recording and making YouTube videos. So I can record audio, I can record my voice as you're hearing it now on this thing, and I can edit videos, but I certainly can't capture any gameplay with my capture card with this thing, especially not while simultaneously recording my audio, which is how I make most of my Let's Plays. So basically, I'm just coasting on what I already have, which I guess we should just explain what that means for the current series. So given the nature of this week and the fact that both NFL Street and Rime came to an end, we have Mario Party and Spirit of the North. Spirit of the North starts on Tuesday, but is that right? Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday. And then Mario Party is starting on Saturday. And I believe when this video comes out, Spirit of the North will have already started, but Mario Party has not yet. I don't consider that a spoiler, though, because I've already talked about Mario Party multiple times in previous Let's Talks. But yeah, that's officially starting on Saturday. None of these series are going to be interrupted, okay? Pokemon White should be fine, and NFL Street. Mario Party should be fine, Spirit of the North should be fine, and Horizon Forbidden West should be fine. I just need to edit what I have because all of those series are recorded to completion. However, I don't have anything to replace any of those series. Now, Mario Party shouldn't be ending until September, which means it should be fine. I should have everything sorted out. I should be back on track with recording things. Its replacement should be good to go by the time that's over. Pokemon White, that's not going to be ending until November. Again, should be fine. I'm not too worried about that one. It's got a long ways to go before that one is over and done. Although I did mention in the last Let's Talk that that series is going to go until credits roll. It's going to then go on pause for a bit while we jump into Pokepark 2. Then once that game is done, we will jump back to Pokemon White to experience the end game. So that one's a little bit more of a complicated situation, but yeah, should be fine. Horizon Forbidden West is a little bit more tricky because that's probably ending around mid-August, which is cutting it really close. Or when I say ending, I mean the credits are going to roll sometime in mid-August. There's still the whole Burning Shores expansion, which I have not recorded a single lick of yet. And if I don't make it to that date in time, there might be a little bit of a delay before the Burning Shores videos start to come out. So do bear with me on that one. Spirit of the North, on the other hand, is just 11 episodes long, which means that it is ending in early July. And that has no replacement whatsoever. So that time slot is unfortunately just going to go dark. Variety videos. are already on hold and are going to stay on hold again until this situation is sorted out. So we're pretty much just going to be coasting through most of the summer with Mario Party, Horizon Forbidden West, and Pokemon White, and that's really it, unfortunately, which isn't too bad. I mean, that's basically the cadence that I used to upload my videos on for years on this channel, 3 concurrent simultaneous series. So it's not too big of a deal, but it's certainly not the pace with which I would like to go, but what can you do? Things happen sometimes, and it's outside of your control. So, yeah, that's really all of it. I'm just basically confirming a lot of what I said in that update, but providing a little bit of new information and hopefully clarifying to people who aren't necessarily aware of what's going on at the moment. As for everything else, what have I been doing with my time now that I can't record any videos? I can only edit stuff, which means I'm left with a lot of free time. Well, multiple things. The first of those is I have been working on reviews. I've been writing out scripts for a lot of the reviews that I plan to make in the future. I'm very serious about this, by the way. This is something that I want to do starting sometime next year. Right now, I am currently 4 games deep on reviews, and as I said before, I am going through all of the games that I have Let's Played on this channel in chronological order and writing a script for each and every single one of them, and hopefully I can put out a review with the footage that I already have on the channel of those Let's Plays. And, I mean, they're not going to be super complicated reviews or anything, but they're just going to be nice little bows that I can tie around the full package that is a Let's Play. But I've already gotten the scripts for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team, Super Mario Sunshine, Shadow of the Colossus, and Wario Land 4 written in their entirety. I'm actually going to be finishing the 5th one, which is Diddy Kong Racing, tonight. After I do this, I should be able to finish that up tonight. And then I've got a few more that I'm going to probably be writing by the end of this week. My plan is to get something like 40 review scripts written before this whole entire ordeal is over and done with. After that, I'm going to have to obviously take a pause so I can focus on the Let's Plays. But I think they've been going pretty well so far. It's just been interesting writing videos from this perspective, because it's really interesting when you have to write reviews. There's 2 ways to write a review. There's a way you have to write a review from the perspective of, well, a writer, and in a way that actually is meant to be read, which is very different from the way you write reviews when you're making video content out of it. When you write a review for like a magazine or for an article of some kind, some sort of publication, you have basically carte blanche to use whatever grammar you so please, because a lot of that is, just kind of implied when you're actually doing the job of a proper journalist, of a proper author. You are expected to be a bit flowery with your words, to be a bit, to make something interesting to read so it isn't incredibly boring. However, when you're writing the script for a review that is going to then be narrated and spoken, you have to write it in a very different way, because you need it to sound human. You need it to sound like you, the narrator, or in my case, myself, the narrator. So I have to write it in such a way that it makes sense, like I would actually speak that way. It's not going to be as all over the place, and I'm not going to be fumbling over my words like I am in something like this, for instance, where it's unscripted, but it still needs to be a bit more sensible, and I can't be as crazy with the way I write things. For instance, that video I put out a few weeks ago where I criticized the discourse around reviews was entirely scripted. There were a couple of things I ad-libbed in there, but for the most part, I scripted everything about it. And even that was written in such a way where it was more reader-friendly than narrator-friendly. And, you know, now that I'm getting into writing these reviews, I've had to make some changes and do things a little bit differently and change my perspective on things. And it's been a very interesting process, and I gotta say, it's a lot of hard work, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I feel like this is a very good use of my time, because scripts take a while to make, and you have to be very detailed and go over everything, because missing anything is absolutely going to get me crucified by anybody who watches these reviews and goes, oh, you didn't mention this. I mean, that's not to say people don't do that in my Let's Plays either, but in a review especially, you need to be thorough. And so I'm having to kind of go back and remind myself of things, especially because a lot of these are reviews of games that I Let's Played once upon a time, but I really haven't played them in a very long time. In some cases, since those Let's Plays. I mean, Wario Land 4 is a great example of that. I haven't touched that game since I Let's Played it all the way back in 2012? So, I mean, that was 11 years ago. I mean, I have very fond memories of that game, and I played it a ton as a kid growing up, but I just haven't had time to sit down and play it for myself since. So, yeah, trying to remind myself of a lot of the things within those games. It takes some. I have to do a little bit of studying. I have to be, again, thorough in my research on the games to make sure that my reviews come across with salient points. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun to work on. I've also obviously taken the time to do some proper gaming myself. I decided, you know what, since I don't really have anything else going on, might as well actually play through the entirety of Burning Shores, so I'm not going into the entire thing blind, and I'm getting that finished up, so that's been going well. I've been playing a couple of other games that I've been working on that I won't really talk about too much just yet. I might save those for a bit later because it could be a bit spoilery, but it's more prepping for future series and whatnot. Been doing that, and then again, like I said, just kind of editing stuff and getting all of that done. I also am working on the tier list videos because I can make those on this laptop, which is good. Those are coming along rather swimmingly, although I have had to re-record them a few times because of the length of these videos. A lot of them, I just get a little bit too caught up in the discussion side, and then they ended out way too long. For instance, the tier list video that you guys... I don't think you guys are going to get it this week, but you'll probably get the first one next week. That video was originally an hour and 20 minutes, and I had to find a way to condense the entire thing down into 20 minutes, which is kind of hard to do. So I've had to re-record that multiple times and find a nice balance on how much I want to actually say about each item on the tier list as I go through it. So that's been a little bit fun trying to get that to work, but I have a few of those in the works that I'm going to be talking about and making, and then obviously I would like to get some feedback from people who actually like those videos. If they want me to go over other topics and subjects, we can go into those because I think they'll be pretty fun. First things I want to touch upon are like the Pokemon series. I want to touch upon the Medal of Honor series and going over those games. Want to go over consoles and whatnot, both home consoles and handheld consoles, just some very basic, generic subjects that I think make for some interesting tier list discussions, and then we can obviously get into more in-depth stuff after the fact. There's also some that I probably will not touch with a 10-foot pole because I do not have the confidence to talk about those subjects, but I think this will just be a fun little exercise to work on while I really can't make any other videos of any other kind for the rest of the summer. So let's also talk about one other thing. This is probably the last thing actually I'm going to talk about in this video. And this is kind of an important thing I've been wanting to discuss, and is something I want to leave you guys with as we go into this summer. And again, like I said, probably not going to make any more Let's Talks for July or August. You probably won't hear these again, get any of these updates until September, because I won't have anything to update you guys on. We're just, like I said, we're just kind of coasting. But I do want to leave you guys off with a bit of a shift in perspective again. I mean, I know this has happened many times over the course of my time with this channel, but I guess this isn't really a perspective shift so much as it is me refocusing the mission here, because I guess I didn't really fully grasp how much work I have left to do with this channel, and it sort of hit me as I was putting together the list. I've talked about the list multiple times over the years. This list that I constantly pull from for game ideas for Let's Plays, because they're games that are either important to me or they are in some way related to the series we've already covered on this channel. And I feel like for the sake of completion and for the sake of making this entire endeavor, this entire experience that is this YouTube channel as comprehensive and as complete as possible, I need to cover all of these things. Otherwise, I won't feel like I did everything I wanted to. I won't feel satisfied in the mission here. So I go back to this list very often, and I constantly pull from it to make my schedule and put together exactly how I want things to go. I even have like a list of games that are going to be going into each time slot. Like, for instance, I've got my, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but I've got like my Sunday, Wednesday primary slot, which is the afternoons, and this is where Horizon Forbidden West is normally going, and I can see on my list here I've got Destiny 2, Forsaken through Beyond Light expansions is going to be following Horizon Forbidden West up. We've already talked about this. Then I'm going to take a break with a mystery game I'm not going to discuss at the moment, which is then followed by more Destiny 2 with Witch Queen through the final shape. And then I look at Monday and Thursday's primary slot, which is where Pokemon White currently is. And then we got Pokepark 2 coming after that, and Pokemon White's post-game. And then more Pokemon games that I won't be spoiling here. I got my Tuesday and Saturday primary slot, which is currently occupied by Spirit of the North, and then that is going to be replaced by Animal Crossing, which I'm not going to talk about that just yet because I haven't fully confirmed what Animal Crossing that's going to be, and then there's more beyond that. And then I've got my Sunday, Wednesday secondary slots, which is where Pikmin is eventually going to be, and then my Tuesday, Saturday secondary slot, which is where Mario Party is going to be. And that one sort of alternates. It's like Mario Party, another game, Mario Party 2, another game, Mario Party 3, and so on. But the long and the short of it is that in the process of making all of these schedules, and I also have to like remind myself of how long each of these series takes. So I even have like everything sorted by what the likely episode count is going to be for each series. So I've got like short Let's Plays, which are 20 episodes or less, standard length Let's Plays, which are 21 to 50 episodes, long Let's Plays, which are 51 to 90 episodes, and then my super long Let's Plays, which go even beyond that. Anything above 90 episodes fits into that category. So a good example of that for super long would be Horizon Forbidden West. A good example for a long Let's Play would be like Pokemon, while a standard Let's Play would be something like NFL Street, and a short Let's Play would be like Rhyme or Spirit of the North. And yeah, I've got everything sorted, going through all these games, and when I condense this list down, and I've only got in here games that are either prequels or sequels to games that we've already covered on the channel, or they are games that are from my childhood that I have some sort of nostalgia for that I really want to take the time to cover, or they are games that I have already promised that I want to cover at some point. When I just condense it down to those games, no impromptu stuff, nothing that I happen upon in the middle of the variety series, like Akina Bridge of Spirits, and I'm just like, oh man, I actually love this. I really want to see this through the end. No Man's Sky is another example. Even if I discard all games of that persuasion, I'm still left with 100 games on this list. How many Let's Plays have I done on this channel over the years? Where were we on coming up on year 12 for this channel? We're in the middle of the 12th year, I guess I should say. How many Let's Plays have I done? I believe it's up to 87 right now. And if I include like full playthroughs that I didn't label as Let's Plays, it's like 90. Yeah, so not even 100, and yet I've got 100 more games to cover. And that's not even including, there are some in here that are actually full-on trilogies that I want to cover that I have listed in one spot. And, you know, that's a whole thing in and of itself as well. And it's like, if I want to stay on track and get all of this stuff done before I turn 50 years old, I need to get back on track. I need to be more focused. I need to be like, okay, no, we're gonna specifically dedicate time to only these games. I can't do any more Kena Bridge of Spirits. I can't do more No Man's Skies. I can't do more even Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I can't be doing games like that anymore. As fun as those Let's Plays were, as enjoyable as those series have been, even Rhyme and Spirit of the North are actually great examples of what I shouldn't be doing. Even games like that, it's like, I really need to get back on track, because if I don't, this is never going to end. This is absolutely never going to end. It's going to go forever. And while that might be a good thing in some ways, in other ways, it's like, no, I don't want to do this forever. Or at least I want to at least have something else to look forward to in the future as well. I would like to eventually shift to more review content. Because that's the other thing too, is like every single game I make a series for, I want to also add a review to that, which means that those are going to go even longer than the playthroughs are. And it's like, eventually I got to come back down to earth. I got to have a more sensible, realistic approach to all of this. And I got to just remind myself that there are too many video games out there. Something that I talk about all the frickin' time when I'm discussing the nature of hype and the role that it has in like pre-order culture. It's like, you know, and we're looking to new games that we're supposed to be excited for. It's like, there's too many video games out there, man. So many video games that to assume that the next game that you're excited for is the only game in the world that matters because it is the one that you're excited for is ridiculous. That's what I've always held that stance. I've always held that notion that people are always too busy looking towards the future when there are hundreds of thousands of video games that they've missed in the past that are just as entertaining, if not more so, and are absolutely worth experiencing. Now, that if I take that same approach and I apply it to the number of Let's Plays and long-form series that I have to do on this channel, I mean, it's every bit as daunting to me. It's like, I need to slow down. I need to stop. I need to figure out what I'm doing here and just specifically focus on the games that are the most important. And that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of refocusing, bringing things back around, and I have decided that this list, I am not going to stray from it. Now, it's a very big list. It's got games from all over the place, all sorts of genres, I mean, I've got sports games in here, racing games in here, platformers, life sims, RTS games, first-person shooters. I've got party games, I've got kart racing games, I've got RPGs, horror games, you name it. Everything's in here, and it doesn't matter which system. I've got things that go back as far as like MS-DOS, and I mean, probably no NES or SNES just because I don't really have a whole lot of affinity for those systems. It's just, I just didn't grow up on them, but old PC games, and then there's also a lot of modern stuff as well. There's also lots of remasters of much older games in here that are included. I've got just all walks of life that could, you know, so much variety in content here as far as the different series that I want to cover, but it's going to take time. Games are long. Games are time-consuming. There's a lot to go over with so many of these, and as I scroll through, because like I said, I label each of these with a likely length for the series. I mean, I'm looking at quite a few here that are labeled as long and super long. Most of these are in the standard and short category, but I mean, like, there's one little chunk right here where I can see like at least 10 that are in the long series. I mean, those can take like 3/4 of a year to get through, which is just crazy. Super long takes a year, if not longer. I mean, and just thinking about Destiny, I mean, we talked about that game and how long it's going to take for me to get through every single thing that's been left untouched in that game and how grand the scope is of that live service. I mean, that's going to take multiple years to cover and probably even longer because I don't even know where Destiny's going after the Light and Dark saga ends and the Final Shape expansion, which is next year's expansion, comes out. And that is practically the never-ending series, but I obviously need to take breaks in the middle and find room for other things. But we've got so many different time slots we're focusing on, and yeah, it sounds overwhelming, but that's because I'm taking what is 10, 20, 25 years of stuff and condensing it down into a few minutes of rambling, and that makes it sound very overwhelming, and in a way it kind of is, but it's just my way of saying I need to refocus. So as far as variety content is concerned, I think I need to pull back and stop going into these games with this approach that we could make any of these into long-form series. That just can't happen. So instead, I'm just going to try to be a bit more first impression-y with those videos, a lot less, though this is a potential first episode for a long series. No, none of that. It needs to be more first impressions. Let's see what this game's about, have, you know, concluding thoughts by the end of it, and then just move on. So likely when variety content comes back, I will be jumping right back into Collector's Corner. I've got a whole list of games that I want to look at in that space in particular. At least a dozen more, if not more than that. So we'll be working on that for a little while. That'll probably cover us through the rest of the year. And I think what I'm going to try to do with variety content is make the videos a bit longer on average. I'm going to try to push more close to like an hour on a lot of these games, but also look at a lot more heavy hitters that I've necessarily missed over the years just because, you know, I've only got so much time. I'm only one person. I can't take a look at every single video game ever. So there will be a lot of games in there that are bona fide classics that people absolutely adore with all their heart that I've never played, and we'll try to fit a lot more of those into the variety series and start to make it a bit more pronounced, a bit more notable, a bit more noteworthy than it has been up to this point, rather than just any game that possibly tickles my fancy. We'll start to really focus and hone in more on some of the best that the game industry has to offer that I just haven't experienced. And then, you know, maybe if I like it enough, I'll go play it on my own time, and then who knows, maybe someday it'll get added to the Let's Play list, but you know, after I've played it for myself. With all that said, that's going to be it. Like I said, guys, no Let's Talk next month. Unless something like drastic changes, very likely there won't be one next month, and there probably won't be one in August either, as I'm probably going to be using most of that month just to catch up, which means I have a lot to do. I mean, I was about 4 months ahead when the computer died on most of my series, which it's such a bummer because all of a sudden all that progress I had in getting ahead, which it took me all year to get up to this point, is just gone in an instant. And now I'm going to have to make up for all that in the back half of the year, which means I'm going to be extraordinarily busy when it comes to recording Let's Plays and whatnot. And there's also some other things I got to work on, like with the Destiny series coming around the corner. I've got to adjust a lot of commentary in that because there is quite a bit of it that just isn't really relevant anymore, and due to the ever-evolving nature of the game, I'm constantly contradicting myself or saying things that just don't matter anymore because of the way the game changes. So I'm going to have to insert a lot of post-commentary into that, and I got to work on that in between everything else. And oh man, it's just a busy time, but we're okay. We're okay for now. This is certainly not the most catastrophic sudden event that has happened on this channel. It'll all be all right. We'll be fine. We're just going to make it through this. I'm just continuing to coast, and hopefully within about 2 months from now, I'll be back in the swing of things with a much improved, much better rig than what I was running this channel on for so many years. Also, I believe once I get that thing put together, I will finally be able to capture things in 4K, which should hopefully improve the video quality of a lot of these things. If you've ever been wondering why all my videos go in 1080p, I mean, I try to upload them in 60 frames per second, but there's a reason why most of them go up in 1080p, and that's because the computer I had literally could not capture beyond 1080p. It was hard stuck at that, but this replacement PC should hopefully be able to do that just fine. Well, 4K for that matter. So with all that said, guys, thank you also very much for watching, and yeah, I guess I don't have anything else to say, so I will see you all in the next one.